The rain over Boston that night was a frigid, relentless curtain. It soaked through the threadbare wool of my coat, a coat lined with a fortune in uncut diamonds, and dripped from the brim of my hat onto a face the world had forgotten. Conrad Vance, age 75, was a ghost. For 15 years I had rotted in a hell not of my making, a political prisoner in Angola, a name on a faded missing poster, a man presumed to be feeding worms in an unmarked grave. They were half right. I had been in hell. But I had clawed my way out, surviving coups, malaria, and the betrayal of those I'd called brothers. The only rope that kept me from the abyss was the thought of her. My Lily. My daughter. The house at 42 Beacon Hill stood before me, a fortress of red brick and black shutters I'd purchased for $4.5 million in cash a lifetime ago. I'd bought it as a castle for my princess, a sanctuary while I secured our empire overseas. My hands trembled, not from the cold, but from a hope so terrifying it felt like a physical ache. She would be 35 now, perhaps a mother herself. I imagined grandchildren, laughter echoing in the halls I had built. I pressed the brass doorbell. The chime was a deep, familiar sound from another life. Instead of laughter, I heard shouting. A woman's voice, shrill and cruel, slicing through the heavy oak door. It creaked open a crack. The woman there was a skeleton draped in a maid's uniform 2 sizes too big. Her face was gray, etched with lines of exhaustion no 35-year-old should own. In her hands, red, raw, and cracked, she held a bucket of filthy water and a rag. "Can I help you, sir?" Her voice was a whisper, trembling with a fear that seemed ingrained. I opened my mouth, but her name died in my throat. It was her, my Lily. But the vibrant girl was gone, replaced by this hollow-eyed ghost. She looked at me and saw only another weary soul battered by the storm. "Please, sir, you cannot be here," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. "If the mistress sees you, please go to the back alley." She reached into her apron and pressed a hard, stale crust of bread into my hand. Her fingers were ice. "Take this. It is all I have. Please go." The bread was a stone in my palm. My daughter, the heiress to an empire, was feeding me scraps from the doorstep of her own prison. "Who is at the door, Lily?" The voice came from the top of the stairs, a voice I hadn't heard in 15 years, but would recognize in the deepest pit of hell. Pamela, my late wife's sister, the woman I had entrusted with everything. Lily flinched as if struck. "It is nobody, ma'am, just a beggar. I'm sending him away." "A beggar?" Pamela's laugh was the sound of shattering crystal. She descended, a vision of preserved avarice in a silk robe that cost more than a car, diamonds glittering on her surgically tightened hands. She shoved Lily aside and looked at me. I expected shock. I expected the pallor of a woman seeing a corpse. Instead, a slow, twisted smile spread across her face. "Well, well. Look what the tide washed up." She leaned against the door frame. "Conrad, I thought you would have died in a ditch by now." "You know me," I rasped, my voice unused to English. She scoffed. "You look like a rat, a dirty old rat. What are you doing here? Come to beg at my door?" I looked past her to Lily, who stared in horror, her hands over her mouth. "Father?" she breathed.
"No," Pamela snapped. "Your father was a criminal. He stole millions and left us to rot."
She turned her venomous smile back to me. "See, Conrad? Even your daughter knows what you are. A thief, a coward, and now a beggar." She stepped back with a mocking flourish. "Come in. Don't stand in the rain. You're dirtying my porch. You have 5 minutes before I call the police." I crossed the threshold into my own home. The marble gleamed, the Italian chandelier sparkled, but the air was stale, perfumed lies over rot. Lily followed, head bowed, bucket in hand. In the vast, cold kitchen, Pamela held court. "So, you're alive. What a disappointment. I assume you want money." "I want to know why my daughter is wearing a uniform," I said, the words low and dangerous. "Why she is scrubbing floors in the house I bought for her."
"You bought nothing," Pamela hissed. "You bought this with stolen money. When you fled, the government froze it all. The debts you left would have buried us. I used my own savings to save this house. I raised your daughter when you abandoned her. And this is how she repays me, by working. She works to pay off your debt, Conrad." I looked at Lily. "Is this true?" She nodded, a jerky, terrified motion. "Aunt Pamela saved us. She gave us a roof. I owe her everything." The rage was a white-hot iron in my chest. She hadn't just stolen my money. She had rewritten history, poisoning my daughter's mind, turning herself into a saint and me into a demon. I forced myself to slump, to play the broken man. I did not know. I lost everything in Angola. I have nothing. I just wanted to see her." Pamela's contempt was a physical force. She peeled $200 bills from a clip and threw them at my feet. "Here, consider it payment for disappearing. Now get out. If I see you again, I'll have the fugitive dragged back to prison." As I bent, my knees cracking, to pick up the money, the ultimate humiliation, I palmed a tiny military-grade listening device from my pocket and stuck it beneath the lip of the kitchen island. Lily showed me to the service door. Out of sight, she grabbed my hand, her grip fierce. "Don't come back," she begged. "She knows the police chief. She knows judges. They will lock you up and throw away the key." "Why do you stay, Lily?" Her eyes filled with a fresh terror. "Leo," she whispered. "My son, your grandson. He is sick, a heart condition. Aunt Pamela pays for his medicine. If I leave, he dies." The final piece of the puzzle snapped into place. They weren't just using debt. They were using a life. A grandson I never knew existed. "I understand," I said, my voice hollow. "I will go." A black sedan was waiting at the curb. My lawyer, Hartman, grim-faced, opened the door. "Get in, Conrad." As the car pulled away, I activated the app linked to the bug. Pamela's voice filled the speakers, clear as day. "Can you believe the nerve of him, Brandon? Coming here like a rat." My nephew's voice, languid and spoiled. "Did he buy it, Mom?" "Hook, line, and sinker. He thinks he's a fugitive. He doesn't know the charges were dropped 10 years ago. And he certainly doesn't know about the trust fund." I stared out at the rain-streaked city. "Laugh while you can." "Start the clock, Hartman," I said, my voice colder than the Boston night. "They have 48 hours, before their world ends. The next 24 hours were a descent into a deeper circle of hell, witnessed through a speaker. I heard Brandon force Lily to her knees to lick spilled wine off the floor for her son's medicine money. I heard the casual cruelty, the threats to let Leo turn blue. With Hartman, I visited the hospital and discovered the most profound evil of all. The $2 million debt was a fiction. An irrevocable trust I'd established, the Emerald Trust, had paid every bill since Leo's birth. Pamela had intercepted the statements, forged terrifying invoices, and invented the financial prison that kept Lily enslaved. The next day I visited my former lawyer, Clive. Playing the broken beggar once more, I elicited a smug confession. He had forged my death certificate and the property transfer. He, Pamela, and Brandon were a triumvirate of theft. That night, I crashed Pamela's charity gala, disguised as catering staff. I watched my daughter, dressed in a sackcloth, be humiliated, slapped by Brandon in front of Boston's elite for dropping a tray. Their silence was their complicity. I held myself back, a predator waiting for the perfect strike. The trap needed one more piece. They needed Lily to sign a waiver, relinquishing all claim to the estate so they could sell the house to my shell company for a grotesque profit. Using the ultimate leverage, Leo's life, they forced her to sign. After, they locked her in the wine cellar. That night, I went to her. She hurled hatred at me, believing me the cause of all her pain. I didn't reveal myself, not yet. I only gave her a command. Tomorrow, when they put that paper in front of you, you sign it. You sign that cage away, and the hell stops. I promise. Noon, the Credential Tower. The conference room with a view of a kingdom they thought they'd won. I entered not as a beggar, but as Conrad Vance, tycoon. The shock on their faces was a drug. I revealed myself as the buyer, Obsidian Capital. I tore up the waiver Lily had signed under duress. Then I played their own voices back to them, the extortion, the threats, the forged documents. As the FBI and police moved in, Brandon, in a final, stupid act of rage, charged me. My security detail, a former Special Forces operative named Marcus, broke his arm with terrifying efficiency, dropping him sobbing to the marble. The unraveling was complete. Hartman laid out the charges: fraud, embezzlement, extortion, child endangerment. He revealed the $3.6 million from the trust that Pamela had stolen and spent on herself while Lily starved. The IRS was seizing everything. I made Pamela strip her jewelry, the diamonds bought with my grandson's medicine money, and watched as she was led away in handcuffs and stocking feet, stripped of every illusion of power. In the clean silence afterward, I stood with my daughter. "It's over," I said. A week later, the house scrubbed clean of their memory, I prepared to take my family to a new life. A specialized medical jet waited to take Leo to the best cardiac clinic in the world, in Zurich. Lily stood at the window of the library, a new dress on her shoulders, old fears in her posture. "Why did you wait?" she asked, the question haunting the space between us. "Why did it take 15 years?" I took her rough, healed hands in mine. "I didn't wait, Lily. I was fighting every single day to get back to you. I am so sorry I wasn't here to protect you." She looked at me, truly seeing me, not the ghost, not the beggar, but the father. "You came back," she said. "In the end, you came back." I pulled the taped-together waiver from my pocket, the document that said she was nothing. I ripped it into confetti and let it snow to the floor. "You renounce nothing. This is your kingdom." "Now," I said, guiding her toward the door where her son slept peacefully on a stretcher, "let's go save your prince." We walked out of the house of horrors into the clean rain, toward a future I would spend the rest of my life ensuring was safe, secure, and filled with light. The ghost was gone, the father had returned, and vengeance had finally found its way home.